Now, our final speaker for today will be presenting what is without a doubt the best moonshot project of the year, Tungsten.
Totally not biased.
Okay, yeah, I might be a bit biased. I did indeed work on this project along with Alex, Anya, and Ella. But yeah,
So please welcome our final speaker of today, Alex.
I feel like I'm famous. I feel like I'm famous. I just wanted to get that out there. Oh, thank you. Kind of needed this. How do you break this thing? All right, cool. So for those of you who don't remember me from the panel, my name is Alex, and more recently I've been working on quantum computing and working out some of the kinks with finance. And more recently, my moonshot team and I, we've developed Tungsten. We've developed Tungsten, which has been kind of our brainchild over the past month or so. Now, my team and I, we came into this moonshot with a question. Now, one question was, how do we create the most impact in the world within the next 10 years? And diving deeper into this question, we found that over the past 30 years, electricity access has been the #1 indicator of a nation's GDP, which in turn is the difference between poverty and prosperity. Now, while it may not seem like that big of an issue here in Canada, the truth is that around the world, more than 1 billion people are currently living without any electricity at all. And more than 3 billion people are living in energy poverty, meaning they don't have enough power to power a radio and a light bulb for more than 4 hours. The deeper we dove into this, the less it made sense. How are there hundreds of companies and billions of dollars of investment being poured into new solar, wind, and hydro projects, and yet people were still not getting the electricity they needed? It turns out that politicians have had that same question, and the missing link is actually in transmission. We're producing power, but we're just not getting it to that end consumer. One of the proposed solutions to this global energy crisis was the fact of creating home solar systems, giving people their own solar panels to produce their own energy. But there's one fatal flaw with the solution, and that's the fact that home solar doesn't produce any more power than what they live with currently in energy poverty. It only gives you a few hours of a TV and a light bulb, making it not a solution. Also, renewable energy projects are often located far away from the end consumers. Well, of course, you have to optimize for where there's the most sun or the most wind. But with a single electricity pylon costing upwards of $220,000, a single energy line, one single line to get electricity from a renewable power project to major urban centers where electricity is required can cost governments upwards of $100 million. Power generation is also centralized and monopolized, meaning that a lot of the power and decisions on how power is generated and distributed to the population lies within one central company or a utility. From a cost competitiveness point of view, this is horrible for the consumer, especially considering that many of our consumers are living under the poverty line. If we truly want to make an impact in the world and give everybody the electricity that they need, we need to be as cost competitive as possible. With these 3 points in mind, our team created Tungsten, where we're imagining wireless, peer-to-peer, and affordable energy for all. Now, you may be asking me, how do we send electricity wirelessly? And the answer is that it's all around us all of the time. It's in radio waves. Instead of building high-cost, high-maintenance wired infrastructure as seen above, Tungsten is reimagining the way that we're sending electricity to each other, sending it wirelessly through radio waves and making it cheap enough so that everybody can access it. One thing I'd like to point out here is that we're not using some revolutionary new technology. Radio wave antennas already exist, and you use them every day, from powering your phone to getting signal in your car radio. We're just using them in a new way and with a new thought in mind. All these radio wave antennas do is that they produce radio waves, as you may have guessed. These radio waves are then collimated, which through which the process we focus them in a single beam, and then we send them to a receiving antenna. As the waves pass through this receiving antenna, an electric current is generated. We can harness this electric current and convert it back into electricity, powering homes and communities. Now, you may be asking me, why exactly do we need a peer-to-peer network? And the thing is, we're going to track electricity usage through trackers within our antennas to actually track the amount of electricity that you take off of the network and put onto the network rather. Tungsten antennas will also be able to coordinate with each other to track the amount of electricity that they put into the network and to effectively maximize the usage of our infrastructure, allowing electricity to take the most efficient path possible to the end consumer. Of course, there will be an end cost to the consumer. But this cost is estimated to be up to 60 to 70% cheaper than buying electricity from the grid. And keep in mind, this is where grid solutions actually exist. For a lot of these people living in remote villages, access to the wired grid will never be a reality. A lot of the costs that people pay go towards covering individual antenna owners, as well as individual power producers for the electricity that they actually put onto the network. Now, let's take a look at how the system works in action. Here we have a solar farm with 3 solar panels. All of these solar panels feed their electricity directly into this pylon. This sending antenna then sends radio waves to a relay, which redirects these radio waves to a receiving pylon, which harvests these radio waves and converts them back into electricity, powering homes and communities. These relays can be efficiently placed, for example, here on top of a mountain, to effectively maximize the range that we're sending radio waves over. Let's take a look at one of the countries where tungsten can help out, in Zimbabwe, and more specifically at the Batoka Gorge hydroelectric power plant. The cost of just getting the wired infrastructure to get electricity from the dam to major urban centers where electricity is required is estimated to have cost upwards of $213 million. And keep in mind, this is the government of Zimbabwe. This is not even the US government or the Canadian government. But with tungsten, we estimate we can get that cost down to just $20 million. This over 90% cost savings in electricity transmission can be reinvested back directly into new renewable energy projects, giving people the energy they so rightly deserve. Now, this is cool and all, but what is tungsten actually doing different? Traditionally, peer-to-peer networks, at least in regards to electricity, have been imagined as creating your own electricity and selling it back to the grid. But what tungsten is doing is we're creating a completely new economic model for the way we envision electricity, where electricity is no longer a commodity, but an investment. We're incentivizing people to install these antennas on their homes so that they can produce electricity and send it directly back into the grid. We're making it easier for independent power projects to be set up and to sell their electricity back directly to consumers. With more and more independent power projects springing up, we're making it cheaper for people to buy electricity, reducing the costs and making electricity a reality for more and more people. At Tungsten, our vision is a peer-to-peer, wireless, and affordable wireless transmission network for all. With Tungsten, every home in the world can get the electricity they so rightly deserve through wireless power transmission. Thank you.